All right, well, we'll figure that out. All right.
Let's see how in tune we are. Sounds good to me.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And the Chag Urim Sameach, a very happy Hanukkah to all of you. It was hard to tell last night. It was a bit of a whirlwind, and I was holding a child through the whole thing, so my arm still hurts. But if I saw you, I hope you had a wonderful time. If I didn't see you, I hope wherever you were that you were very happy in that. But it was a treat. It really was a treat. During COVID, it was sort of an interesting thing because it was one of the few outdoor activities. We've seen a lot of people each year, and as we gather, it's always a very special thing. But it felt like this year, for I think pretty obvious reasons, why it felt especially important, and why it was especially important to see as many kids as we did and to hear them singing and all that. So that was really a very lovely thing. And I have to say that actually tonight is today. This is my wife Lou's 40th birthday. And so, yes, I will applaud her. She is watching from home because she unfortunately is very sick, because my children also bring home lots of gifts for us as parents. So if I don't get close to you tonight, you'll understand I'm trying to be on the extra side. I feel great. But Lou, if you're watching, we all wish you, of course, a very happy birthday. And I was going to give her the honor of lighting our candles, which, as you see tonight, we have many to light. So I'm still going to probably follow through with that. But Mimi, did you want to light candles? Did you had mentioned? So I can do the Hanukkah candles and you can do the Shabbat candles. How about that? That sound good? Okay, excellent. So our Hanukkah blessings, I don't know if Hanukkah blessings come first. So we'll take
Why would that be?
Now, why would that be? Let's very good. Yes, in a slightly more halachic environment, this is of particular import for sure. But obviously, lighting candles before Shabbat begins makes sense. But there is another reason why, which is as a general idea, and I think it's something of a misunderstanding about Shabbat in principle. Is that Shabbat really is the holiday of holidays. So even when there are other holidays that happen when Shabbat is happening, Shabbat is never ignored. It's sometimes adjusted, it's modified, but in the end, it's still the thing that has the preeminence. So even on a wonderful holiday like Hanukkah, we do it first and we give Shabbat the respect that it ultimately deserves. So I don't know if we found the page, but I think we should know these blessings, I hope, by this point. It is not the first night, so we don't do Shechianu, but what was that?
572?
572.
Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu vayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Amen. Okay, now Mimi, we're going to move to our Shabbat candles. Again, 2 sets of candles, one for us here in Sag Harbor and one for those who are still held in captivity. I'll tell you what, I'll do the lighting piece because this gets a little tricky, but you can do the blessing piece, which is the much more important. Okay. There.
You spoke in this.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Fair enough. Good
Well,
point.
so I don't know, I'll hang them like a share kitchen of the mitzvah top, to see lemon, or hardly, yeah, shell, Shabbat.
Amen.
Praise be thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by these commandments and commanded that we light the lights of Shabbat. May we be blessed with Sabbath holiness. May we be blessed with Sabbath joy. May we be blessed with Sabbath peace. Amen.
Amen. Mimi, thank you very much. Good start to our Shabbat here, I think. And again, while Louis miss you, Mimi did an excellent job in that role, and we'll wish you a happy 40th birthday then, Mimi, as a result. So we're going to turn now to page 130 as we begin Kabbalat Shabbat together at the very top of the page. Turn now to page 131. Page 131.
ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו. יירם הים, יירם הים, יירם הים ומלואו. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ.
We'll turn now to page 132, or Zarua, which is at the very bottom of the page.
Or Zarua, Ratzadik, Uishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua, Ratzadik, Uishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua, Ratzadik, Uishrei Lev Simcha. Uishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zarua, Ratzadik, Uishrei Lev Simcha. Uishrei Lev Simcha. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai yai lai yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai yai lai lai.
We'll turn now to page 134, Zamru.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וקול זמרה, בחצוצרות וקול שופר, ההריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק, בעמים במישרים, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו.
We're now on the bottom of page 135, or the middle of the page, just in Hebrew.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להקודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להקודשו.
We'll turn now to page 138 for Lecha Dodi, and a reminder that for the final paragraph, we will rise and we'll face those that are with us in the room towards the doors that we walked in through. But again, page 138, Lecha Dodi at the very top of the page.
Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד, שמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. lecha dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. lecha dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאים מתוך ההפכה. רב לך שבט ועמק הרכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. lecha dodi לקראת כלה, דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונפתע עיר אל תילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתן על כלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, את אדוני תעריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, ירדה ירדה ירדה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. We'll turn now to page 140.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי השר ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור, להגיד להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וחינוך.
We'll turn now to the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, u'vizman kariv. Ve'imeru, Amen. Yesh me Rabbah mevarach. La'alam u'yamei amaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach. V'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudsha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush berchata v'nechemata. Damiran me'alma. V'imeru. Amen. We rise for the Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Please be seated. We'll read together now on the top of page 149 in English. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
Amen. Turn now to page 151. We'll read together in English at the top of the page. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please join us on page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levacha, b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol meodecha. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We'll read together in English on the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. As we turn to page 158, to a somewhat familiar sound, I think.
I would hope so. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot oseh. יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל 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 ישראל.
We'll read together now on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Hashkivenu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor teiteinu Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'chaim.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. We'll turn now to page 162.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפל.
Invite us all now to rise in body or spirit as we begin the Amidah together on page 164. Just one thing to note, although there are not too many parts of our liturgy that are affected by Chanukah, one of the places in which that does happen is on page 176 as part of the Modim prayer, the Hoda'ah, the thanks prayer towards the end of the Amidah. You'll see just in the middle of the page, you'll say, on Chanukah, continue on to page 556. This will then bring you much further in, and then you come back again. If you follow the adventure, you'll understand why you go to that prayer when you get there. But for us, we'll begin on page 164 altogether, and then again continue silently. At the end, if you're still standing, you may be seated.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
We'll turn now to page 371 as we offer our Mishaberach, our healing prayer this evening. We'll begin by thinking of those in our community tonight who we know are in need of that healing. Rona Klopman, Abigail Blum, Benzi Tepper, Allison Luckman, Michael Klinghoffer, Ame and Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sylvia Devora Bat Francis, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Spicer, Barbara Kushner, David Kyle Klopman, Lorraine Davis, Richard Gambino, Kim Birnbaum, Deborah Block-Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Devora Batsima, Sue Wartor, Harab Adam Ben Asher Umazal, and Alan Zaretsky. In addition to those names that we just read aloud, we're now going to take a few moments of silence for everyone to think of first those that are closest to you in your heart, but also, of course, to make space for our friends, our family in the land of Israel as well. So just take a few moments for yourselves. We'll join together with Cantor Kevin, the middle of page 371.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing, refuah shema, the renewal of body renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I'll add our prayer for Israel in time of war by Professor Rabbi Reuven Kimmelman. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, you know that the Jewish people are one nation with one heart. Today that heart is broken. With news of so many of our sisters and brothers in Israel killed, wounded, and kidnapped, we turn to you. As the psalmist says, O healer of broken hearts, binder of their wounds, be with our brothers and sisters who have been taken captive and with the families of the victims. Watch over the hostages, break their bonds, bring them out from darkness to light. As the prophet proclaims, proclaim release to the captives, liberation to the imprisoned. Comfort the families to all those murdered, bring them under the shelter of your wings. Bring complete healing of body and spirit to all of the wounded. Bind up our wounds and grant us healing. Tzur Yisrael v'Goalo, rock and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel, the initial manifestation of our redemption. Shield it with your care, spread over it your shelter of peace. Guide its leaders and dividers with your light and your truth. Grace them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Crown their efforts with victory. Bless the land with peace, its inhabitants with lasting joy. Shomer Yisrael, guardian of Israel. Strengthen and bless the defenders of Israel who stand guard on the land, in the air, and on sea. May we see the promise of the psalmist, you turned my mourning into dancing, my sackcloth into robes of joy. God protect, preserve, and restore peace and well-being to Israel, your people. And together we sing.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Chag Urim Sameach. Just a quick little mini teaching between. So why do I say Chag Urim Sameach? Why different than Chag Sameach? So it's one of those moments in which the holiday of Hanukkah itself is something unusual. It's not like many of our other holidays. It doesn't come from the Torah itself. It really can't come from the Torah itself based on its timing. It is largely a holiday that is, I don't want to say created by the rabbis, but it certainly is an idea that the rabbis take and they expand to the point in which we celebrate the holiday as we know it today. But we add this word Urim as a way of distinguishing it a little bit from the other chagim, from the other festivals. And this idea of or, of light, right, is key. And while it sounds trite and we all say it, right, bring light out into the world, be a light into the nations, light in darkness. I mean, we've all heard every phrase that you can hear, every play on words that you can with light. But no matter how many times we feel like you've heard it enough, you've heard it too many times, then you get to a year like this, you get to a moment like this, and you realize that it's not a throwaway line, right? It's really quite significant. And this concept of Or LaGoyim is a complicated idea, right? Being a light into the nation. I'm not really sure I know exactly what that even means. But I do know the idea of what it means to be a person that embodies some of the characteristics of light, right? Not myself, but I've been witness to it, right? People for whom other people gravitate next to, right? Come close to, see and search out and learn from and grow from. People like that. I hope you have people like that in your life. I'm lucky that I have quite a few. But I'm thinking in particular of one of them who unfortunately passed away this Thursday, or actually really Wednesday night. I think we got the news Thursday. Many of you may have had the privilege of learning from him at some point or another in your life, especially if you lived in the city. His name is Rabbi David Ellenson. So I'm not sure if that name rings out to any of you at all. So Rabbi Ellenson, those I know, affects Kevin as well, was the chancellor of the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, the HUCJR, the institute that certainly trained me, trained my wife, trained hundreds, thousands of rabbis, cantors, educators, nonprofit leaders. And he was the leader of that institution through years in which it was not entirely clear, would it continue in the way that it had continued? Would it expand? Would it retract? And he led in a rather unique kind of way, which I think actually is unique in the world in general, but is spot on for Jewish leadership. And by that I mean, he wasn't necessarily the forceful type. I never saw the man yell in my life, never saw him scowl, never saw him say a cross word to anybody, never saw him whip somebody into shape, none of that. all right? But he led an institution across 4 campuses, multiple places in the world, faculty of dozens, probably too many maybe in some ways, right? You can't even conceive the level of intricacy, every reason that the man would have had to do all the things I just said, never, not once, not once. Now, Rabbi Elson, again, could have been one of the great pulpit rabbis in our generation, easily. But he was really an academic at heart. And he spent most of his life studying and teaching. And one of the things that he really focused his work on was the response of Judaism to this big thing we call modernity. You know, when the world, especially for us as Jews, began to open up during the period of emancipation and enlightenment in the 1800s, what led to the genesis, the beginning of the Reform movement in Germany, what eventually came here to the United States and developed to the Reform movement that we now know. When that world was suddenly opened up, it opened up myriad possibilities, possibilities that Jews had not experienced in the diaspora in 1,000+ years, maybe ever. But with it, challenges. In particular, challenges to identity, challenges to long-held customs, traditions, and in particular, laws. So Rabbi Elson was something of an outlier in that when he took over and he led HUC, which was, again, the Reformed seminary, Reform Judaism in particular in its early days was not known, let's say, for its halacha, right, for its following of Jewish law or that practice. It had its own foci. But Rabbi Elson, to a T, if you plugged him in almost any environment in the Jewish world, he would have fit right at home. His personal practice was one in which Jewish law and Jewish practice was actually quite significant. But that didn't mean that he abandoned all the other parts of Reform Judaism that he loved and that he adored and that in particular were most meaningful for him. And one of the places that he placed his greatest emphasis, which while we say today seems perfectly reasonable, but in his time actually he was really pushing for something, which was to support the campus of HUC in Jerusalem, of the Israel campus, because more often than not, when HUC would hit a financial hard point, it was one of the first things that would come up and say, sell it. Sell it. It is located on King David Street. It is probably one of the more valuable pieces of property in Jerusalem. Many, many people, learned people who said, what do we need, a campus in Jerusalem for? Rabbi Elson understood because he lived there, he experienced there, and actually he wrote many times in his life, he wasn't quite sure why he ever didn't move there entirely. He once referred to himself, actually a few times, as a failed Zionist in that way, because he really understood it, he embodied it, he loved it, he went there all the time, especially when he was the chancellor of HUC, he was there frequently. But what he saw and he understood was that as time went by, especially for Jews in the diaspora, this sort of feeling like, well, do we really need to be in Israel, right? Do we need to have that presence there? Does it have to be in Jerusalem? Does it have to be right where it is? And every time someone brought that question up, every single time, his answer was yes. And his answer wasn't just yes, it was yes for lots of reasons. And those reasons came from his heart, they came from his study of, again, Judaism, not just from a religious standpoint, but from a cultural standpoint, from a historical standpoint. And he was able to stand in front of rooms just like this, in which you had people with lots of different backgrounds. And as I said, he could teach any text standing on one foot, but he could make that text make sense to somebody who'd never even heard of a Talmud before. As I said at the outset, Judaism has a lot of things that make our way of thinking, our way of being in life somewhat unique. And one of the ones that I keep coming back to over and over again is, what does our model of leadership look like, right? How do we understand our responsibility, not just if you're chancellor of HUC, right? But if you're sitting in the pew tonight, what is your responsibility as a Jewish person? What does it mean to be part of Am Yisrael? What does it mean to also live in a modern world and to have modern sensibilities? How does one reconcile these seemingly disparate realities? And Elson was, in many ways, the answer to his own question. The way that he lived his life was a roadmap for his students, for his colleagues, even for his detractors, even for people who perhaps don't have such a high opinion of Reform Judaism. Even in those instances, I watched him converse with dignity, with respect, with wisdom. I should say, and I should have said at the outset, it's not permissible to deliver eulogies on Shabbat with good reason. So I want to say this is not a eulogy by any means. His funeral actually is being live streamed on Sunday. I think it's at 11 o'clock from Rosh Shalom in the city. If you want to understand who he was, you certainly can watch and understand. It's not so much to eulogize him, but more to identify what one person can do. Okay? And that image of candles, right? That image of single light that seems like it can't do much. Maybe. But what I would say is, watching this man live through his life, watching the number of people that he not just figuratively turned into rabbis, but literally turned into rabbis with his own hands, right? Gave smicha to generations of rabbis who serve all over this country, all over the world. You think about the act of one person and what each of those other lights creates from that one person is really quite remarkable. And I can tell you with absolute assurance, I wouldn't be talking to you tonight without him. He was that important. But, I think it's testament to a person like him. Everybody thinks you're the one, right? Then you go on Facebook and you see hundreds. Same story. Different points, right? Same story. Same neshama. Same spirit. So I want to leave us tonight with a reminder. Don't have to have the word rabbi in front of your name to do that. Okay? He was doing that long before he had a rabbi attached to his name. All of you, all of us, when we were gathered last night out of the wharf, across the world, right? This is the time more than ever to ask yourself the kinds of questions like, where do I fit into this? And how do I bring my own light to this equation? Especially right now, because I guarantee you each one of you is already doing it and can do it even more. So may his memory be for a blessing, and may he be remembered for all the wonderful things that he did. And we will find, and I will find, appropriate places to teach some of his own words in the future. But it will be a regret. It was actually the first person I called to come as a scholar here. And he very sweetly chuckled and said, "Dan, you can't afford me." So I was working up to it. I was working to get there, but we'll teach him one day. So with that, I wish you all again a Shabbat Shalom and a Chag Urim Sameach. We'll turn to page 586 at the bottom of the page. Aleinu L'Shabbat.
Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tet gilula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Ask those in mourning, those observing yahrzeit to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. We think first of those who passed in our community in recent months. Isabel Becker, Bert Bitterman, Julian Busgang, Morty Schwatzky, Beverly Deshevsky, Deborah Fogarty, Jerry Goldsmith, Dr. Sam Gould, Dorothy Klein, Sean Leibowitz, Samuel Moskowitz, Jeffrey Nagelberg, Marvin Schreier, Barbara Strasser, Fania Verrett, and David Weinstein. We also mark the yard sites that occurred during the last week for Samuel Abdrakin, Felix Berg, Dr. Joseph Berkeley, Sylvia Dornfeld, Louis Feinstein, Erwin Gadinsky, Melvin Gelb, Ernst Gross, Charles Hipsch, Helen Kropf, Max Lewantin, Edward Massoff, Jaime Mozart, Jacob Ruby, Louis Schwab, Julie Sloan, Ralph Spinner, Arthur Spitz, Milton Strasser, Daniel Tatcon, Joseph Yanovich, Sophie Zauber, and Evelyn Zucker. In addition to those names that I just read, is anyone saying Kaddish for anyone tonight that we did not mention?
Commander Metzger, Dexter.
All right. And for those that are choosing to say Kaddish for those lives that have been lost in Israel, you're welcome to join with the mourners on page 598. Again, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach hirtei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. B'agala v'zman kariv v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'li'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom imramav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Amen.
Zichronam libracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So, a few important announcements. First is to join us, of course, as soon as we're done with services, next door for Oneg Shabbat. Technically, this was supposed to be an Oneg Shabbat in celebration of my wife Lou's 40th birthday. Again, hopefully, Lou, you're watching at home. We love you. We'll bring some food home for sure. And as I told her, we'll do this properly in the future when we can all be here for that. But I love you, sweetheart, and we all appreciate all you do for our community. And again, I'm assuming that you're watching this at home, but if not, there should be sub-recording or not. Yeah, it's fun times in the Gevin household, as you can see. But any case, we love you, and please, we do have food, and we'd love for you to eat it. I know Lou would love for you to eat it as well. Also, a reminder to please join us for services tomorrow, beginning at 10 o'clock. You can join Cantor Kevin and myself, either here in person or online. And then tomorrow for Torah study, we have a real treat. We're going to have Torah study led by our friend, Rabbi Rebecca Joseph, Rabbi Becky Joseph. Happens to be daughter of one of our great members, Ruth Joseph, also just a remarkable rabbi and teacher in her own right, and who's visiting her mother and happens to be generous with her time to offer to teach us. And she's actually going to do a really cool Torah study. It's going to be a little different because it's actually going to focus on Hanukkah. So if you've ever wanted to learn a little bit more about some interesting stuff tomorrow, for sure, we welcome everybody either online or in person, 12 o'clock for Torah study as well. Reminder that on Sundays and Wednesdays, our lay-led morning minyan continues now on Zoom only. That Zoom link can be found weekly in the temple email. Again, that's Sundays and Wednesdays at 9:30. Also, Sunday at 4 o'clock, our Hanukkah party here at the temple, which if you haven't noticed, a lot of things already getting ready for. We're very excited. We have stuff for all ages, all backgrounds. Bring everybody. We're really looking forward to it. And also just a reminder that our pop-up shop, which was available a little bit before Shabbat tonight, if you see stuff tonight that you would like, we can set stuff aside for you. You don't have to pay for it tonight, Shabbos and all that. But if you see things you'd like, just let me know. I'll help out here. This is normally what Lou is running, but as you can imagine, can't be doing that tonight. And so again, 4 to 6 o'clock. At the end, we're going to light our Chanukiot here at the temple. So if you have a Chanukiah that's meaningful to you, bring it with you. We're going to set it up in the window so we can all light together. And we'll feed you latkes, sukkaniyot, all that good stuff as well. So 4 to 6 here again at the temple. We are still looking for volunteers, though. Always, I should just put up a sign in perpetuity that just says, looking for volunteers. But if you happen to be somebody who could give us a little bit of help on Sunday, that would be really great. I don't even necessarily know what that help is yet, but whatever it is, if you can jump in, it's always appreciated. Yeah, I think think that's everything.
I've got one.
Good.
This past Wednesday, one of my classmates debuted some selections from what she's calling the first modern Chazanut opera. She wrote an entire opera, wrote grants in order to get us microphones. We had costumes. It was a full show that happened on Wednesday, and it was, again, selections from this opera around the story of Yehudit, of Judith, and its connection to Hanukkah. So I will be sending a link out after Shabbat for links to that performance, and it's featuring everybody, and I mean just about everybody at HUC, rabbis, cantors, students, and just to show you a bit of her amazing work, because it was a lot to put together, and really just a remarkable connection to Hanukkah as well. So
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so I think our closing song before Kiddush tonight is...
little bit of Peter Yarrow.
Little bit of Peter Ham. That's
It's a good title,
a good
huh?
title for very good.
Right?
It's good.
Page,
Yes, page
671.
671. I think you'll know what it is.
Yeah, probably. Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, let anger not tear us apart. Light one candle to bind us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died? We cry out they've not died in vain. We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out.
One of the great endings of any song, too, right? It's just... There you go. We'll rise for Kiddush, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'v'ratzon inchilhanu zikaron lema'aseh bereishit ki hu yom tefila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'chata ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen.
Chaim.
Chaim to you. I'm not going to go too close to the challahs, unless Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Again, Chag Urim Sameach. Come next door. Let's eat some food in Lou's honor. Very much. All right, and if I don't hug you, you know why. It's great. That's a good one, huh? It really is. It really, really is.
I cannot tell you. It's
Yeah.
like watching you grow up.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, right? It happens.
But you know what's not happening is you're not watching me grow out.
Not yet. 20 more years in the cantor, then we'll talk. Once we see each other at biennial 2050, then we'll see.
God willing.
God willing.
I know. I was like, people better know this one.
I gotta tell you, they no longer in the area. Lieberman still has places a couple of years ago with his daughter and his son-in-law, and now I think most of the family is in Baltimore, so they're down here. But when he was